Real-time rendering is a dream by entertainment media companies, architects, and designers. Hi, my name is Roberta Perry, and I'm co-host of the Invitation to Tomorrow Today showcase, where we feature market-ready products and services for handling today's challenges. Real-time rendering is not a dream any longer. It's a reality. Stay tuned and watch our showcase where we feature SILVERDRAFT that brings you that solution of real-time rendering to you, no matter the size of your budget or your project. Enjoy. ITT Invitation to Tomorrow Today showcase is a collaboration with the four of us ladies: Norma Lynn Cutler with Cutler Enterprises, Heidi Hirsch with Reveal Architects. We've got Susie Oglehar, she is our advisor with Panasonic Hollywood Labs. And we love having Susie with us. Actually, it's been great to be collaborating with these ladies since June on this showcase. And we called it the Invitation to Tomorrow Today showcase because we wanted to present market-ready solutions for our industry of entertainment, for the developers, for media companies, and especially for architects. Today is no exception. We have an amazing company, at least in our opinion, it's an amazing company. When Heidi first brought us SILVERDRAFT, which is SILVERDRAFT Supercomputing, my first reaction was, whoa, supercomputing? Isn't that just for the big companies? Isn't it just for those big budgets? Well, was I wrong? The more we got to know our speaker today and the owner of the company, the founder, Amy, and now with Janine, you're going to discover what Dee's discovered is that SILVERDRAFT is for everybody. Now, our Zoom format today is going to include a 15-minute presentation by our guest speaker from SILVERDRAFT. That's going to be followed by questions and answers. If you have a question, feel free to put it into the chat. And when David finishes presentation, we go to the chat. I will blend his questions, your questions, and the questions we prepared for him today. Now, our guest speaker, after working with him for the last month on the presentation, we have nicknamed him the Professor. Though when he sends you an email, he's going to be called the Evil Overlord. Now, we're going to find out more about that after his presentation on why he's being called the Evil Overlord. But we love having him as the Professor. He's the head of business development for SILVERDRAFT. So, David, if you are ready, take it away.
All right, great. Thank you, Roberta. I appreciate you too, Norma Lynn and Heidi, for inviting me. Susie, all your counseling. Let me see if I can share. I got to figure out how to share, right? Okay.
Tim has allowed you to share, so that should be at the bottom of your screen. There you go.
Yep.
Excellent.
There you go.
So we're seeing this? Okay. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you again, Roberta. The problem that we're exploring today is real-time rendering and the computing power it takes to drive rendering of visual content. Without it, visual data is pretty flat, and in businesses like architecture, a lot of times mistakes and misunderstandings are still made. I'll get my controls straight here and we'll be smooth as glass. All right. So what future do you want to see today? For a brief time together, I'm going to focus on architecture, media, and entertainment, though just about any industry can benefit from this. And I'm going to share a couple valuable solutions that are ready today for real-time rendering and visualization. As our CEO, Amy Giles, so rightly points out, and with great humor, it's easier to move pixels than dirt. Amy founded SILVERDRAFT to support individual artists and free them to create. To help better demonstrate the power of real-time rendering, I'm going to share just 4 examples today. And what I'm going to show you, it might feel like magic, and to me, it still often does, And it may feel like you can't afford it, but I assure you that you can. A really powerful case study in AEC is this VR project that we did in supporting the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino before their opening and throughout their development. The developers had to finish before the Super Bowl this past February, so there could be no mistakes or do-overs. They were on a really tight timeline. They also had this unique design you see here, this glass guitar and this kind of tiki pool and everything like that. They ended up doing a redesign on that and saving millions of dollars in potentially redoing that because of the light study that they were able to accomplish with real-time rendering. The Florida sun and that glass guitar were causing all kinds of challenges. They also saved more than $100,000 on architectural models, so it proved to be a real win-win. Designers were able to lay out more than 60 rooms, leveraging the rendering technology. You could walk through those rooms and even choose colors of towels and soap. So no detail was too small. Change orders were minimized because everyone could see what was being proposed or desired. So when it came time to open, everything from maintenance routes to system repair to turning a room had been worked out, practiced, and perfected by the staff and management. You might be saying, yes, billion-dollar project, of course they can afford it. But the truth is that the technology is available and affordable for even a middle-class home or a small product that a company might want to take to market. On this project, if you can imagine this, even with the size and scope, 90% of the construction details were resolved in VR with just an HTC Vive Pro and a SILVERDRAFT Demon working with this digital content. Here's a quick example or video to show you how it feels to be in a real-time render of this kind of project. I like the way that starts because it kind of looks like just a photo from inside the room, but here you can see them picking up the VR headset and grabbing the VR controls, and then as they navigate through the room, that's disorienting. What is interesting about that view is that you can layer in the geometrically accurate data on the scenery as well on the model so that the view is accurate from any room. Anyway, here you can see with those controls that they can change the bed size. That's a lot of fun, as well as the bed height. I don't know if you caught that. And then we've given them a palette to work with of selected different colors, changing the color of the walls, the fabric on the couch, so on and so forth. And those controls can be, so this was a Revit to Unreal project for those that kind of want to know a little bit of the technology. And then we've added controls here. You can see they were trying to change the flooring, but since that tile was pre-selected and was not going to be changed, you couldn't change that, but you could change the wall coloring. Also notice the real-time ray tracing of the reflection in the mirror. So reflections are an important part of design and how light works on that. So real-time ray tracing is powerful, and here you can see a little bit more about how they just were able to modify the tile and everything. So working with Heidi and so many of the people from Reveal Studios, it's great to see you on the call today, but it's been incredibly insightful to me, a non-architect, but bringing these kind of solutions to this market. There's been a true technological revolution taking place in the AEC market. So SILVERDRAFT is also a development partner with Autodesk. So that's how we get engaged in many of these projects. And it's tough to believe the pace of change. Sometimes they need a nudge, but most of the time the software developers are out in front of us with great new capabilities. So with AutoCAD, Revit, Arnold, 3ds Max, etc., we're truly seeing the future before it's built. Let me see if I can play this. So here's an example of an as-built space that's transformed by visualization. I'm going to speed that up a little bit. Again, just kind of showing off the control there, the view, and the space to be built out. Try to keep speeding that up. And here you can see layered in the plumbing for the heaters as well as the electrical. So you can work with subcontractors all the way through to designers. Here they've added the wall with the click of a button to kind of real-time render in the model around the plumbing and the electrical. Make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. And that's at true one-to-one scale. So when you're in there, you can feel the height of everything. And then with a click of a button, you can go to a finished render. And here they've imported live models of furniture and given you fabric choices. So you'll start to see that they can change the furnishing here with a click of a button. And when you're in there, this is what we call photoreal with ray tracing, so real-time ray tracing. But you can see they can quickly change the fabric and give the place a completely different feel. Wall finishings, I think they even maybe hit the kitchen here real quick. Yeah, let's lighten that up a little bit. Okay. For anyone who's worked with chroma key or green screen or anything like that, you can get a similar experience that I just showed you there, leveraging something like this XR technology and layering that in against a chroma key background like a green screen. That's a relatively inexpensive setup there. So many indie artists are doing things on shoestring budgets. With XR, interestingly, you can have real objects, including another human in the space. That adds real perspective to what you're trying to accomplish. The other thing that this demonstrates is multi-users in real-time rendering. So you saw how she moved in to that space. That becomes even more powerful. I need to kick that off, but we'll run out of time here. That becomes even more powerful to combine the virtual and the real in real time. So this is Unity. Unreal software is free. So Epic's Unreal Engine is free for you to download and move projects into. In this one, you can do a guided tour. You see she's bent down, getting different perspective. These are markers that can be turned in real time into something else. You can see an individual can see their own hands, grab that marker, but that marker represents something else in the scene. So really incredible, incredibly powerful technologies that can be deployed on just about any project. This one I like because it ties into some of the things that we were talking about. I heard that there is a designer on the call today. So expectations are better managed and change orders and delays are minimized when you can work in what looks to be the real environment. Easier to move pixels than dirt. So here you can see this designer is moving things around, changing colors, getting things just so, setting up the environment for a walkthrough. If we speed that up just a little bit, here, moving the couch, and then as this individual walks around, you could be showing this off in an empty space, so you're seeing what they're seeing, and then you're seeing what they're seeing in the headset. And then as he works his way back to his desk, you can see a little bit of a light study or light control. They've dimmed the lights, and there you can see some real-time ray tracing with lights reflected off of the different surfaces in the office. One of the most exciting things we've been working on is unleashing the power of LiDAR. I think many of you probably have even seen that LiDAR capabilities have been added to the new iPhone. So we can't wait to see what something, in the hands of almost everyone can be turned into. Major theme park recently scanned their entire property and assets. Media and entertainment companies have been scanning sets for a variety of purposes for years. So look at this scan on the left. That's 2.5 miles of the Las Vegas Strip, and then turned into a point cloud there on the right. Here you can see, this is one exciting way to view this data in real time, and it's called Group VR. So it looks a little fuzzy because it's stereoscopic and being seen in 3D. But this is about 16 feet wide by 8 feet tall, and the individual there you see has tracking on his glasses. So as he moves and in a room, in a one-to-one, it doesn't make a big difference on a set like this, but it does make a big difference when you're in an apartment space, for instance, in like a VR. So here I wanted to show you another form of real-time rendering. Let me kick that off. So this is truly a bird's eye view, but this is more and more common an asset to work with than you might know. There are many companies working with satellite LiDAR, for instance, for working on bigger projects like this. Anyway, this is 2.5 miles of the Las Vegas Strip, and we're flying through it at 120 frames per second, giving the viewer a smooth experience. Most systems struggle to even handle a file that size, let alone make it interactive. And yet, one more idea for LiDAR in media and entertainment is to take a LiDAR scan, for instance, of this stadium, use that model and geometry and drop content into it in real time. And so this is what Virtual Fans was on a larger scale for Major League Baseball, if anyone follows that. And it's a similar XR technology I was showing you earlier by putting furniture and walls into that as-built space. Instead of having to stand in the empty apartment, you could have something scanned, have that model sent to you digitally, pull it into an application, and then utilize it in this way or other ways that we've shared. So that avoids travel, and the accuracy is down to less than a centimeter, if you can believe that. So much so, clients are now exploring this scan to BIM model workflow to save on travel and design time. As I shared at the beginning, SILVERDRAFT was founded to free the individual artist. This is especially relevant today with remote work and collaboration. We've been individualized, maybe more than we want, and sometimes taken from the office. Visualization professionals in architecture, media, entertainment, and engineering have been displaced or distanced from even basic tools and systems of their trade and craft. So I don't have the specific study, but I've heard that projects are taking 3 to 4 times longer to complete at home than they used to. That's got to be frustrating and a waste of time and money. Real-time rendering and all of its benefits turn the tables in your favor, including saving an incredible amount of time. Here's our innovative team. Amy was just named one of Move Magazine's 25 Power Women for 2020. Eric Smith, our CTO, has continued to innovate and invent intellectual property that keeps us in the lead, as well as expanding our product line beyond supercomputing. So that it is a very powerful part of our story. Janine has established a strong foundation to support our go-to-market strategy, and you'll see that in collaboration with many of our partners. Hardy is an established thought leader, and I've built several successful technology companies through innovation, performance, and quality relationships. I'm just really proud to be a part of SILVERDRAFT. This shows some of the clients we work with. Those on the left might have only 1 to 3, maybe 5 workstations or like a render node. Those in the middle are a little bit larger and deployed more than 5 workstations or artist workstations. And those on the right, even though they're large companies, they often started with 1 or 2 workstations and grew with our solutions and scaled up from there to fit the architecture that they needed for a variety of different purposes. So here are just a couple more examples. The video might lag due to your internet connectivity, but I think it's worth sharing. So SILVERDRAFT doesn't create the content. We enable content creators, and that's good for me because I love that aspect of my job, and I'm not the creative. But whether it's bringing Michael Jackson back to life after he had passed, or putting virtual fans in the stadium, educating viewers on the weather, allowing Madonna to dance with herself, or bringing Nicki Minaj to life as a robot, flight studies for our clients on their products, virtual production, architecture and construction like we've talked about, engineering, simulation, media and entertainment. When it comes to visualization, no project is too big or too small. And we love supporting our creatives out there. So what future do you want to see today? We're making the impossible possible together. So thank you for your time, and it's back to you, Roberta. I can't hear Roberta.
I can't hear myself either.
Okay.
which is probably a good thing. So I thought Tim was going to unmute me, but I just unmuted myself.
I think we might have been doing it at the
much.
same time. Sorry, Roberta.
No worries, Tim. Thank you, David. Awesome. I love that video at the end because it allows us to be aspirational as we move forward into all of our projects. Now, I know there might be some questions that are coming up on the chat. So if those of you have any questions, feel free to put those into the chat box. But in the meantime, one of the things I loved about what you talked about was easier to move pixels than dirt. So I was saying that if somebody on our call today, all of our designers, whether they're lighting designers or interior designers or designers, how do they get started with your technology today or even tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, Roberta, because I think that's the thing that comes to people's mind. But the reality is they're probably already most of the way to these type of results. If they're working with digital content, we can share with them the ways to get that digital content rendered faster and into these different visualization mediums that we showed off today. So I'd say that most of them are all the way there, close to all the way there.
Okay. I'm not quite sure I understand what close means.
Okay.
Follow up with what does that mean? Does that mean the remote workstation? What do you really mean by that?
Yeah, so we usually run into clients, and most of the time they have they already have some kind of a workstation, and they're working with three-dimensional modeling software. They're adding textures, they're adding layers, and they just may not be going to that additional step of being able to get into that content, or they haven't added the VR or layering in the AR in, for instance, a design format like that. So what I'm saying is, if they have the three-dimensional model that they're working with,
yeah,
regardless of the industry, then they're just a short step away from being able to see that in higher quality in 3 dimensions, and sharing or collaborating on that data remotely.
Okay, well, that makes sense. One of the questions that came in on chat was Rivet was mentioned. How does this integrate with architectural Rivet models?
Yeah, so that's great. So some of what you saw there was Revit.
Revit, I mean, Revit, not Rivet, Revit.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So Revit, I think is, I'm not an architect, but so for all the architects out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but as AutoCAD evolved has been evolving, Revit takes it a step further, and it allows for you to design your 3D models, architectural models, and then to add design elements, add lighting, add textures, add all kinds of things. So once you have that done, and often you put it into a 3D mode and you show it, but you're showing it on a 24, maybe even a 42-inch monitor, it's still the size and scope of the project, whether it's a house or a building, is such that you don't, you often can miss some of the smaller, finer details, and you don't get that visceral feeling of actually walking through it. And then you can turn that into a fly-through. I mentioned that in the, you can fly through it and then share that video with your client, but they're not interacting with it either. And they often aren't saying, oh, can you stop there or go back to that? And you don't get the interaction of being able to change, for instance, the size of a window, or remove a wall or create a half wall in the middle of that, and then have them respond to it and say, that's exactly what I was thinking about.
All right, great. I'm still a little bit concerned about the cost. So let's talk
Don't be,
about
Roberta, don't be.
it's just me. I've got some projects I'm working on. I'm wondering if I can even afford it to bring it into the project. So let's talk about some of the options you have for pricing.
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to get involved in this is through a thin client. Often someone had access to resources in the office. So if your office will support you, if you had an office, and they'll support you on your artist workstation, you can still work at home at 60 frames per second. That's a $20 a month solution that maximizes the bandwidth you have at home through a thin client that's $1,500 or less, and it allows you to really work with that higher end content at a distance. So that it also helps maintain security. If you're an individual artist, it might be something as simple, Roberta, as an upgrade to your laptop. So we've designed laptops that have a dedicated GPU, like an NVIDIA RTX 5000, for instance, and an i9 processor. And that can reduce your rendering by anywhere from 50 to 75% over, what a typical laptop would do. So that's kind of where you would start. An artist workstation is just a little bit more powerful. And then, of course, if you could combine it with something like an HTC Vive Pro, which is less than a couple $1,000. The Vario example I showed you there is a little bit higher end, but that's human eye resolution. That's a 5K viewing device that puts you in there, and then the XR system. So I've just covered a range from $1,500 to up to maybe $20,000, depending on your project. And most people have already made something close to that investment, or are unhappy with the results they're getting, or don't have that capability.
And I understand that you could also include it, the designers can include it as a line item as they're doing it per project.
Yeah, absolutely. In media and entertainment, a lot of things are project oriented or come out of,
right.
They're looking for a rental option. So we've done everything from a 1 to 2 day on-site project, like a rental or line item, to longer term leases. And of course, outright purchases.
Great. And it is possible to have a one-time client presentation at any of their studios that we have, our guests that are on the showcase.
Yeah,
if they got
absolutely.
a hold of you and said, hey, we'd like to have a demo over here, you could do that, correct?
Sure. We've done that with something as small as a VR setup to as large as the LED wall for virtual production, or even the canvas you saw there for, if you had a big presentation or a team coming in, or you're looking for funding for your project and you want to show it off in all of its glory, we can support that.
Yeah. Now, do they have their own what if they have their own VR hardware? Do you just supplement that, or are you turnkey when you come in to do a demo? Are you turnkey, or you work with their hardware?
So to the extent that we can work with their hardware, we would, and then augment that solution by surrounding what they already have with the other components. A lot of what SILVERDRAFT does is consulting around the solution. So we do know how to deliver and often deliver the turnkey solution. This technology is complex. It usually comes out of the box, doesn't play well with others, so to speak. And your IT department rarely has this type of expertise. So we can provide that a bit of consulting. We can troubleshoot if you're not getting the results you want, and then we can advise you, what you might want to upgrade, or how we can attach to what you already have.
Oh, that's great. And then Brad McDonald asked, are you exporting from Revit for design parametric software to different software? And is your solution a software and hardware solution?
Oh, that's great. Yes. So these solutions have to take into account the software. And so our solutions are all designed and optimized around different software sets. So some take advantage of CPU processing, others take advantage of graphics processing, like through the GPU. Some are, need many cores, others need to run fast. So we optimize the software. So this is usually a packaged software, hardware combination. So we're not a software reseller. We're a partner to Autodesk on the development side, but we don't resell Autodesk, if that helps.
Okay. All right, well, that makes sense. Now,
and
Brad,
then, Roberta, I missed the first part, which was exporting.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so exporting files is has been the way most people have been doing this, and that can be a time-consuming challenge as well. So as big a problem as rendering is, bandwidth and moving files securely with no packet loss and everything has also been challenging. So that's one of the things we can help support that entire workflow. That's important. But more and more solutions right now for Brad and other architects using Revit is going directly from Revit to VR or something close to that. So that's a real-time rendering solution. Those are things that are coming. And we can also help, depending on where you want to go with it. If Revit is not going to give you the quality you want to show off, then yes, it would, like, for instance, export into Unreal Engine or Unity or another application like that to be able to implement those other finished product VR animations and the physics and the light studies and all of that.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Brad went on to ask, beyond this service, are you a render farm? What's the cost per second?
That's great. We're not offering that as a service yet, but we have been asked to get into that, and we're actually in the process of collaborating with some very big names in media and entertainment to potentially create that specialized render farm for visualization. Great.
Tom Hartman asked, what is the conversion time from Revit to SILVERDRAFT?
From Revit, well, using SILVERDRAFT technology?
Right, yes.
Yeah, so in most cases, and it will depend on your project, but in most cases, we would reduce whatever your render time is by between 50 and 80%. Somewhere in there. So if something was taking 3 to 4 hours, you'd probably get it back in, less than an hour, which gives an artist multiple shot, multiple edit cycles in the same day. So that's huge for animation. I know it's big in other types of 3D modeling as well.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Like Autodesk, this comes in from Nona, like Autodesk or other softwares, do you offer online classes? How do they learn how to do this?
Yeah, so we do. We've taken on some educational role for Autodesk products, and it depends. We're not a huge company, so it depends on the particular software. But we have a kind of a universe of contractors that we work with that we trust that will do a good job of training if we don't have that in-house at the time.
Yeah. Well, as one person who you've been training all month, this has been great. That's why we call you the professor. We love it, David. Thank you so much. Well,
I learned a lot from you as well, Roberta. And
well, it goes back and forth. That's why we're all in collaboration with each other. Now, I have to ask this question. I know Amy is not with us, but how did you come up with the name SILVERDRAFT? And I have to ask this follow-up already. Why are you called the evil overlord when I get any of your emails?
Well, this is out of the creative brain of our CEO and founder, Amy Guile. Yeah, she's always having fun. I have played multiple roles in this company. And Amy has moved me around from everything from finance to operations, and she was playing with names. She said I couldn't just have a traditional title. I had to have something, and that's what it ended up being. I'm sure. So I'll add as follow-up to the first part of the question, that Amy shared with me that the name and my title are best discussed over tequila. She would love to meet you. She would love to meet you all and share that information over tequila.
And we already said we would do that over tequila or
That's
a drop
right.
or something. That's great. Thanks, David. Now, how does our audience today get in touch with you?
Oh, please get in touch with the person who invited you and they'll be able to connect us.
Good. So we can set up that introduction directly to you and your team. That's great. Well, I'm going about ready to turn this back over to Norma Lynn. David, I don't think we have any additional questions at the moment. So
Yes, we do.
are you typing, Heidi?
No, Jim and Jan did.
Are they typing?
They typed.
They did. All right, let me
Check the
see.
chat.
I already saw the conversion time. We answered that one.
They'd like to see a real-time online work session demo.
Oh,
Will
okay.
that be available?
Oh, that's great, Heidi. Thanks. Thank you, Jim, Jan, David.
Okay, great. We'll work to facilitate that.
Good, no problem. We'll make that introduction for you. Then let's just finish up with final thoughts from you. What is the message you want for all of us today? And any final thoughts?
Real-time rendering is available to you today, and it will save you time and money.
And it's magic.
And it's magic. It allows you to make magic.
That's what I knew you were going to say that. I love it. Thank you so much, David. Thanks for being our guest today on the showcase. And with that, I'm going to return control of the showcase back to my co-host, Norma Lynn Cutler. Back to you, Norma Lynn. And you're now muted too. We're in our mute world. There you go.
Thank you, Roberta, and thank you, David. That was very illuminating and so bloody exciting. Because if there's anything I hear from all the architects that we deal with, it's the time to render. That's always the excuse about why we don't get to see things. And you're taking that away from them. You're fixing it. So we are delighted to have another incredible program scheduled for December. It has to do with touchless technology, and it is super cutting edge. This company is going to be spending some time with us, obviously in preparation for this. So I am not completely clued into all the things that it can do, but I know it's going to be another amazing session. So look at your inbox, because you'll be getting an invitation if you are here today. And if you're not here today, I don't know what is happening that I'm seeing you. That's a little joke there. And try the veal. I'm here all week. Anyway, thank you again for attending. Hopefully this has created inspiration or excitement or got your mind a whirl. And just remember, we are invitation to tomorrow today. That's who we are. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Norma Lynn. Thank you again, David. Well done.
Thank you, everybody.